Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jeffrey here, Traders Audio, CrudeSquawk, doing our daily recap video now for Wednesday, February 27, 2013. Starting with crude now, the mother of all markets. We're talking crude here. We saw crude trade in a $1.19 range today. Kind of choppy session overall. We saw traders on the bid, off the bell, pushing up, making the tops of our 20-minute opening range at about 92.56. Saw dealers get on the offer, push us down, test yesterday's pit session lows at 92.18. Again, Tuesday's pit session lows were 92.17. Unable to break below that. We saw the locals get on the bid once again, pushing us up just before the numbers came out at 10:30. At 10:30, we saw those numbers released. We did see about a 10-cent pop in the market, but we saw about half an expected build in inventories. We saw in the crude a 1.1 million barrel build versus the expected 2.5 million barrel build on the crude. Cushing, Oklahoma did show a slight draw in inventories at negative 75,000 barrels. Gasoline inventories were higher. Came with a higher than expected draw at 1.8 million barrel draw versus the expected 1 million barrel draw. And distillates came in with actually a slight build of 557,000 barrels versus the expected 1.5 million barrel draw that forecasters were predicting here. And again, we caught about a 10-cent bid off that numbers immediately. Then we saw crude kind of pull back a little bit, just up to the top of the 20-minute opening range, bringing us down to the 92.57 area. And then we saw the locals get on a bid once again, pushing us all the way up to the 93.37, unable to break above the 93.50, which we were kind of looking for as a possibility to see if we'd get up to that 94. And then we saw Brent drop below later in the day, drop below that 112 handle, breaking down into the 111 handle, trading all the way down to 111.65 area. That pulled crude right down with it, pulling us all the way down as we saw locals and dealers get on the offer, bring us all the way down back into the 20-minute opening range, just 5 ticks off opening prints at 92.40. And then we saw a late bid come in here right into the close, pushing up to 92 to close and sell at 92.80 on the day. 45 ticks up off opening prints at 92.35. So again, we had pit session highs 93.37. Our lows were 92.18, just 1 tick above Tuesday's pit session lows, and our opening prints were at 92.35. Now let's talk about crude a little bit further here. Looking at crude, options we're still looking pretty bearish today. We saw higher volatility, so if we break the 2 major levels, we're looking at a break of. Traders are looking for a break of above the 94s to quickly bring us back up to the highs of our range, the 97s, and a break below the 92s to bring us down to at least the 90 area, if not lower. You can see we have a new bear channel that formed last week. We are still trading within that bear channel down on the lower ends of it we touched today. So again, a break below the 92s with the high volatility we've been experiencing could push us all the way down to the 90s, if not lower, and a break above the 94s. We're looking for to quick push up to the 97s. So we're going to need to keep an eye on that tomorrow. Also, I want to keep an eye on those sequester talks coming out of Washington, as we do have the sequester deadline on Friday when those automatic spending cuts do come into play. So that could very well play into the market, as well as any other economic data we see coming out tomorrow, and we'll go over that in just a few minutes. Moving on over now to the natty gas. Natty gas had a pretty interesting day as well. Catching a bid right off opening prints at 347.3, pushing us all the way up to 355.4. And that came out as early weather reports came out. We saw 6 to 10-day forecasts come out predicting near to below normal temperatures nationwide, except for warmer temperatures in northern Maine and west of the Rockies. So again, kind of a little bit of a bullish weather report came out, and plus we heard some chatter around the pits that there was speculation that a late winter cold snap was going to come into play, and then it also helped us push up to these highs here at 355.4. We then saw Natty just turn around, and actually it might have even been just as dealers and locals just started selling off us all the way into the close, bringing us down, breaking us below our opening prints, below our 20-minute opening range, making new lows at 342.5. That's 342.5, and then we just kind of chopped around there for the last few minutes into the close, just closing us and settling out at 343.3. Now keep in mind we do have storage numbers due out tomorrow. They are expecting a negative 165 billion cubic feet draw in inventories. Of course, a larger than expected draw in inventories could put upward pressure on prices, and a lower than expected draw or some type of build will continue to put downward pressure on this market. And again, we need to keep in mind here that also could continue to watch these weather forecasts. Heating season is coming to an end, and we are still trading really at the highs of our range. So again, we need to keep a very close eye on those inventory reports tomorrow. Speaking of inventory reports, let's take a look at what we have for news coming out tomorrow. Again, we're talking news data coming out tomorrow. We have 8:30. We have, actually that's today. We have 8:30. We have preliminary GDP quarter after quarter. We have unemployment claims coming out as well, and also preliminary GDP price index quarter after quarter, quarter over quarter at 8:30. 9:45 we have Chicago PMI, and at 10:30, of course, we have the natural gas storage, and we talked about that, where they're forecasting a negative 165 billion cubic feet draw in inventories, and at 12:30 we have FOMC member Raskin speaks. So again, a lot of news coming out tomorrow, key economic data. So we're going to need to keep an eye on that, as well as that natural gas storage report. Of course, we'll get all those numbers to you as soon as they come out tomorrow. So join us tomorrow morning at 8:50 a.m. for a new day fresh start as we cover all these markets. Just for the bell, we'll give you your open, high, low, close, and your key resistance levels. And then we'll start the day off at 9 o'clock, and we'll stay here with you right to the end till 2:30. Give your settlement numbers and send you on your way home. Check our blog out tomorrow morning, and we will see you again at tomorrow morning, 8:50 a.m. Again, Jeffrey, Traders Audio, CrudeSquawk. See you later.